What's the scariest moment in a video game you've ever had? The moment in Silent Hill 3 when you're in the office buildings. In one of the rooms you find a mannequin, and when you leave the room you hear an ear-piercing scream. Go back to where the mannequin is, and its head is split in half with blood spilling out. Ducking shit scared me to death when I played it the first time. Edit, stupid autocorrect on my phone, changed ducking to ducking initially. I just corrected that. I remember playing Silent Hill 3 in my early teens one night during a thunderstorm. I had just gotten past that point and was already rattled when all of a sudden the power blinks out. For half a second all I can hear in the darkness is the pounding rain and thunder before the power comes back. I go to turn my PS2 back on and notice that the TV never turned off. Only the PlayStation did. What? They're both on the same power strip. I load back in and continue playing, continuing to get creeped out as I immerse myself. About 10 minutes later there's another flash outside, and the power blinks off again. This time, the TV shuts off, but the PS2 stays on. Still on the same power strip. At this point I'm fully wigged out by the oddness of the whole thing, so I throw in the towel, call it a night and shut everything down, double checking to be sure they're actually off. In FEAR when you turn to climb down the ladder and boom, there's the scary girl. Oh good, someone else who remembers that particular sphincter triggerer. I could have pressed a turd into a diamond right at that moment. The amount of absolute silence in that game was terrifying. I could deal with jump scares, but the sense of dread as you wandered through the silent parts waiting for the hammer to fall. Yikes. A few come to mind. The first 3 hours of my first playthrough of Re7, before you learn the game's tricks and how to fight back, could only do it 30 minutes at a time. The giant head in the hospital hallway in Silent Hill 4 was just so out of nowhere, and it appears at random. The only jump scare in Eternal Darkness, truly earned. Dude, Re7 and only doing 30 minutes at a time, I was right there with you. Took me a bit to get over the anxiety of a game. The zombie dogs in Resident Evil jumping through the windows, goddamn. Especially when the game lets you walk past the windows once or twice before they come in. My friend and I played this together and were both surprised by this at the same time. Then later his girlfriend got to the same spot and we were both there to watch. It was such a satisfying moment to catch her surprise. Doing some exploring in Stalker when I find an empty building. Outside is chaos, but here it's quiet, doesn't feel right. Look down one dark hallway and see something at the end. Cautiously inch forward and see that it's a dead body. Don't even bother looting it before losing my nerve and turning back, only for a bloodsucker to appear right in front of me. Had to pause and take a break for a while before emptying my mag into that walking bullet sponge nightmare fuel. The first Dead Space will always have a special place in my heart. Some of the jump scares, plus the regeneration monster had me shitting myself. Edit, thanks you all. Glad we all were traumatized together. Worked on Dead Space 1, 2, and 3. Makes me happy I didn't have to scroll far at all to see this. That's so cool. What was your role in the creation of those games? Janitor. Mr. X from the Resident Evil 2 remake because he's invincible and you have no time to think. The remake is so much more intense than the original because you can hear his steady footsteps as they get closer and closer. I had to play the game in short increments because I would get so anxious from stopping to listen every few moments. I was so happy when I finally progressed to the sewers lol. Same. I probably spent 10x longer in the police station than anywhere else because learning to deal with him was terrifying. In Half-Life 2, I recall a point where the game draws your attention up some stairs. As you start to ascend, the stairs break and collapse, dropping you in front of some zombies. Playing late at night, it totally got me. Are even home. For me, it was halfway through it when I started to notice that the zombies, the human heads underneath, were independently talking from the zombie sounds. They are in a perpetual state of confusion, panic, and pain. When I realized a dying one let out this sobbing thank you, I got a little freaked out and had to take a break. There's also that other great moment where you think you are safe on a building roof, but then the gutters start shaking as the fast zombies climb up to attack you. That was awful. First encounter with a regenerator in Resident Evil 4. I noped the duck out when I saw the thing sliver towards me when I shot off the leg. Edit, link. Oh, man. The first regenerator scared the duck out of me. PT. Don't touch that dial now, we are just getting started. Sudden cut to silence with Lisa's ghastly visage right in front of you. I mean, honestly, the whole thing is a heebie-jeebies simulator. I was stoked about that game when I found out that it was by Kojima and Del Toro, but then I found out that the imagery was also being designed by Junji Ito. I will never forgive Konami for cancelling the full product. As a massive fan of Junji Ito and horror in general, this game is all I ever wanted, and now all we are left with is playthroughs on YouTube. I can't believe it was cancelled. Basically any moment in Alien Isolation. One of the most atmospheric games I've ever played. The game having two AI, one telling the alien the general area of where you are, and the alien AI hunting you, make it terrifying. Because I don't think it'll come at you the same way twice. Exactly. I love the alien's AI so much in this game. It's fucking terrifying that it can actually learn your habits and start checking your most frequent hiding places as it looks for you. BioShock, my ex made me play in the dark, and I jumped more than I'd care to admit. First time you meet a Houdini splicer after hearing them calling out in the gardens. Hello. I'm so lonely, just lonely. I still have footage of my best friend from school and I screaming in fear b/c that Houdini splicer scare. Hello beautiful. I was just walking around in Skyrim, and then a bear roared in my ear randomly for the first time. They purposely amplified the sound effect of the bears to be 100x louder than anything else in the game. It scared the shot out of me. Skyrim moment for me, as well. I was walking along a road at night through the wilderness of Forkreathholt, near Pinuach, when this half-naked guy with no apparel was running towards me, yelling, "Is this what you want?" Transforms into a ducking werewolf. Completely caught me off guard. I jumped. And then was forced to kill him in self-defense. I still don't know why that happened. Edit, another Skyrim moment. When you are navigating through the back of Castle Volkihar, going through all those poorly lit rooms en route to the Soul Cairn, those stone gargoyles that come to life when you pass by them, shite. That entire trek is like something out of a horror film. The scenery of those abandoned rooms and hallways and cells is absolutely beautiful in how macabre it is. One of the best examples of game designing I've ever had the privilege to experience. That entire questline, Dawnguard, is still my favorite to this day. The first time I encountered a Reaper Leviathan in Subnautica. Oh boy, time to go to the Aurora. I'm sure nothing insane will be hanging around the back end of the ship. It's not even a horror game but Red Dead Redemption 2. I was casually riding my horse through a very dark forest tonight and saw a body that had been hung from a tree along the side of the path. Thought it was kind of sad and got off my horse to shoot the dude down, but suddenly these completely silent guys rush out of the bushes and start attacking me with knives. I couldn't see them because of how dark it was. I panic and back up trying to shoot one. Guy didn't make a sound when I shot him. He just crumbled silently, but there was too many of them and they rushed me and silently hacked at me with melee weapons. The dark and the complete silence of the whole thing freaked me way more than any jump scare from a horror game. IDKY. The night folk. They never talk. Creepy AF. Lemoyne is a messed up state. It also has the rapist dude and the incest couple who drug, rob and kill people. walking into the shallow bridge cradle in Thief Deadly Shadows. It wasn't just scary, it was terrifying. That level made me stop playing several times and just start over the game, so I didn't have to go in there. Or just any moment in Subnautica, when you begin to go deeper and deeper into the quiet darkness. Suma. You have no weapons, and if they find you, the effect is terrifying. Sometimes I had to wait for my girlfriend to come over because I couldn't play it alone. Masterfully done atmospheric horror. Soma is amazing. Especially the special monsters indoors that kill you if you don't look at them, or the other way around. It's been ages since I have played it. Doesn't help that their heads almost look like the big daddies from BioShock. You aren't allowed to look at them, your vision starts fuzzing when you can see them. Definitely a cool effect, and makes it very tense trying to escape and hide from something without looking at it. The flood in Halo Combat Evolved. The build up with the environment and found footage along with the off music made for an awesomely terrifying fight for my life. This totally changed the tone of the game, and I did not expect it at all. When Cortana flips out about the weapons cache Captain Keyes was looking for, you could just tell something was wrong. Then you find the crashed dropship with the recording on a loop, and then a crazy marine that starts shooting at you. I thought the atmosphere was completely underrated. The flood was when Halo went from being a good game to being a classic. Playing TLOU, clearing out some clickers when my 5-year-old daughter sneaked out of bed to ask me something, and before I knew she was behind me she whispered "Daddy" in my ear. Oh no, fatherhood. That's what was really scary about The Last of Us after all. Nothing more terrifying when the clickers call you daddy. It's gotta be the monsters near the end of Uncharted. Those monkey mother ducks gave me nightmares for a good week. Here I'm playing a nice jungle action adventure game, and what the duck are those things? I'm terrified of spiders. In Resident Evil 2, there are huge, bear-sized spiders in the sewers. The first time I played that game the spider scared the shit out of me, and it took me a few hours before I could continue playing. The insanity moments in Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem. This was an incredible old GameCube game, where in addition to having a health and mana meter, your many characters also had sanity meters. As you went along through the game, and you encountered scarier and more gruesome creatures and other assorted nightmares, you would start to literally go insane. This would trigger any number of insanity moments that were extremely unnerving, especially if you were playing alone. One such moment simulated your television changing channels. This scared the shit out of me. Another presented you with a fake end screen saying that you needed to order the next episode of the game to continue. It was really jarring and surreal and just very chilling when it happened, and then suddenly snapped back to the horrors of the actual game. Sometimes your character would proceed through a new room as normal until slowly their limbs started falling off as they screamed in pain. Simulating the silhouettes of small bugs crawling across your television screen was another good one. On the surface, none of this sounds as visceral as, say, the Resident Evil dog/window moment. But as I'm sure others can attest, these were very strange surreal moments that sometimes made you feel like you weren't alone inside your own house. It was very well done and extremely scary. Oh, and then there was also the bathtub scene and the hanging scene, which were both horrifying for other reasons. I won't spoil it. Overall, one of the scariest things I've ever played, and definitely a brilliant and deep piece of horror. There's a point near the end of Silent Hill 2 where you can't keep going unless you get rid of everything in your inventory. Let me tell you, walking through pitch black corridors listening only to the sound of your footsteps and the grotesque writhing noises the monsters make with no way of fighting back is extremely nerve-wracking. This is my favorite part of SH2. The elevator part specifically. It is a moment of forced introspection and further connecting the player to James, priming for the reveal of what you value to the last. Weapons? Healing? Light? The letter? Of course if you know what the requirement is it doesn't matter, but I love watching people experience that part for the first time and seeing what they do. Legend of Zelda. There was a creature called Dead Hands. Nightmarish. When I played through the forest temple in Ocarina of Time, the wall master came down to grab me. It was my first Zelda game, and it was totally unexpected. I threw the controller and refused to play that game for a week.